Bold prediction season is rolling on. What do you believe, and believe so fervently that you would bet your own money on it for the college football season this year? There is, I would say, almost unprecedented boldness in this batch here tonight. Think about this one. Got the new expanded playoff, right? Alexander from Charleston, South Carolina says the SEC champion is the only SEC team in the playoffs' final 8. So that would be the quarterfinals. That's the second round. He's telling me only one SEC team is standing in the second round of the playoff. Well, that's a 9.5, my friend. That's very bold. That's a 9.5. If you predict something and it lands 9.5 or bolder and it hits, I'm sending you a chalice of supremacy. One team is automatically there. I don't know if you realize that. The SEC champ is already going to be there because they're going to get a first-round bye. So already, the best you can do is push here, and that's what you said. You said the champ's going to be there, but that's it. No other SEC teams. Okay, so that means no at-large teams from the SEC are going to make it. Hey, there's a half-decent chance that 2 SEC teams play each other in round 1, which means by default, one of them has to make it to the second round, in addition to the champ that's already there with the bye. So that would be a loser. Just out of the interest of curiosity, we went to FanDuel and we looked at the odds, the SEC team's odds to win the whole thing. The SEC begins the season in the playoff odds with the number 1, 3, 5, 6, 7, 12, 13, 15, and 19 team. And you're telling me they're sending one to the second round? I don't buy it. That's a 9.5 on the boldness scale. Next up, we go to Morgantown, West Virginia for this prediction. It's a parlay. Joe, also from Charleston, says West Virginia wins 9 to 10 games. That's part 1. They upset Penn State to start the season. That's 2. And they end up in the Big 12 championship game. That's 3. And then there was a hypothetical about the quarterback and the Heisman. But we're going to go 1, 2, 3. This is essentially a 3-leg parlay. All of these would be at plus odds. Let's break them down one at a time. We already have a line on the Penn State game. So West Virginia faces Penn State to begin the season. Now, it's a home game. That's the good news. The bad news is you're a 10-point dog in that game. So if chalk holds, already the prediction's blown up. Your over-under win total is 6.5. So if you're going to win 9 or 10 games, you've got to go substantially over that. Pause on that. Number 3, you've got the 9th best odds to win the Big 12, and yet you're going to check into the Big 12 championship game. Now, obviously, some of this is redundant. If they're good enough to beat Penn State, that means they may very well be good enough to go over their win total and get up there in the 9 wins, 10 wins range. If they're in the 9 or 10 win range, then that means they're probably in the Big 12 championship game hunt. I just don't know if I feel this to that degree. I am up on West Virginia. To that degree, it's tough to say. This is a 9.25 on the boldness scale. Now, you may say, how could that not be a 9.5 or a 9.75? Well, when doing bold predictions in this conference, remember the golden rule on this show. It's the Big 12. There is no bold prediction in the Big 12. Quite literally, anything can happen in the Big 12. Can anything happen in the Big 10? Our next bold predictor thinks so. Cody from Athens, Georgia says Michigan will go under 9.5 wins. Well, that's not bold. That's just a bet. I appreciate it, Cody. I know that sounded kind of jerkish. I appreciate the submission there, but that's their over-under win total. Michigan's over-under win total is 9.5, so I know it's heavily juiced to the under, so this is technically not even a 50-50 proposition. The implied odds there suggest that you're making closer to like a 55% probability prediction, which means it's unbold. It's kind of calm. It's a calm prediction. They lost the quarterback, the head coach, both coordinators. They play 5 of the top 25 playoff odds teams. They play 3 of the top 5 playoff odds teams. They're dogs versus Texas. They're dogs versus Ohio State. Probably will be a point spread underdog against Oregon, though let's hold off because that game's not until November. This is like a 5 on the boldness scale. If Michigan goes 9-3, it'd be a pretty good year. It'd fall below Michigan fan standards, but it'd be a pretty good year. If they go 9-3, this prediction hits. This is not a bold prediction, but it's a prediction that I thought we should put in the show. And lastly, What would it be? What would a Sunday night show be without a 10 on the boldness scale? Daryl from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, says the ACC champ, Florida State, will face the Big 12 champ, UCF, in the college football playoff. Oh, wow. Okay, so this is a 10 on the boldness scale. And I'm going to tell you why. A few reasons. Number one of these elements is out of their control. Even if both of them make the playoff, they've still got to be paired with each other. Like they've got to find each other in the playoff. Florida State's got to win the ACC. That's not a big deal. They're the current odds-on favorite to win the ACC. UCF's got to win the Big 12. They are the 8th best odds team in the Big 12 to start the season. So just that part happening, that's a big deal. Both of them win their conference championships. But here's the other part. Remember, if both of them win their conferences, they're going to have first-round byes. So they're not playing in the first round. So they'd probably end up playing, what in like the semifinals? Because they wouldn't play in the second round. You can't be paired up in the second round either because you're one of the top 4 seeds. So the earliest they could face off is a semifinal game. That means both of them have to not only win their conferences, make the playoff with a bye, win their respective first playoff games, then they still have to be paired up. That's too much for me. So that's a 10 on the boldness scale. If that one happens, though, you guys are not prepared for the messaging that will come out of Orlando, Florida. Because these folks went to the Peach Bowl in 2017 and claimed they won the national championship, and every single one of you got that hook squarely in your lip. They've still got you. They've still got you today. They put that banner up in the stadium. I was down there a couple of months ago. I was walking around the stadium, the bounce house, as they call it. And there it was, 2017 national champions. Oh, it's great. I get it. I refuse to be victimized by the UCF 2017 title discussion, but many of you are victims. It is the bowl version of the Sarah McLachlan special. It is the playoff version of the Sarah McLachlan special. You might as well have Colin just lay the soft piano bed, and a lot of you start yelling into the air at the clouds about UCF and how they weren't national champs. Well, if they make the playoff and win the Big 12, make the playoff, win a game in the playoff, and then they're facing off against Florida State, don't even let them get that far. But if they beat one of the big boys in state in a playoff game, and keep in mind they will have already, I believe, played Florida this year. So what happens if they beat Florida in the regular season and then beat Florida State in the playoff? Jesse, do they play Miami this year? I don't think they do. And I know Jesse doesn't have Miami's schedule scribbled on his hand. It would be a very toxic situation for everyone who is not UCF. It wouldn't be a good time for you guys. So in the interest of your own sanity, judging by how 2017 ended for you, I would just go ahead and say, take care of them. Take care of them beforehand. Yeah, they don't play Miami. They do go to Iowa State on October 19th, which has no place in this discussion whatsoever, but I still felt the need to cite that.